Good evening, everyone, and welcome back after a brief recess since our last meeting was at the beginning of July. So welcome, everybody, and welcome. We do have somebody in the audience. Yay. So I'd like to begin this meeting by acknowledging that we are in the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe peoples in the Huron-Robinson Treaty area and wish to recognize the neighboring community of Doki's First Nation. While we meet today, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we each call home. We do this to affirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. So with this, I need a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda. Moved by Bob and Dean. All those in favor? Thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interests? None. Okay. There are no delegations tonight, Madam Clerk. No. All right, let's go into the reports. Under 6.1, we have the quarterly report from the clerk's department. So I will turn it over to you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In this report, mostly I reported on highlights for during the election process. At this point, I'm pleased to announce that nomination period has happened on Friday, and on Monday we certified the nominated candidates, which they are all acclaimed except for Ward 3. So we have 2 candidates for Ward 3. So everything is posted on the municipal website under the elections page. Are there any questions on any stats or?
Through you, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Just a quick question for Melanie. Now that the election's pared down to just 1 ward, does that condense the cost of the election, or is it still going to run at a full cost of $16,000 to nominate 1 seat?
Thank you for your question, Randy, which is a very good one. So the only cost is going to be for the voting instruction letters that will be sent to Ward 3 and to those who are voting into a school board that has an election. So the only elections for the school boards in our zone is English separate and French public. So we will have to send those voting instructions to those persons only.
So then would we see a reduced cost in the cost for this election, or can we expect it to maintain the budgeted amount?
No, it's going to be at a reduced cost.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the report? Seeing none, before you, you have a resolution to adopt a bylaw to amend a law to set the fees and related charge. So what we call our AMPS bylaw. So that's the Administrative Monetary Penalty System. So you have that in your package. Any questions, Madam Clerk? And I think it's self-explanatory.
Yes, so these fees were discussed at the last meetings that we've discussed AMPS. It's just we were timing, we hadn't brought this bylaw to council at the last meeting.
So Renee?
So I see there's a late payment fee of $15, but it doesn't say, is it $15 for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days late, 100, you know? What if they're a year late? Is it still only $15, or does it go up after a certain period of time?
Through you, Madam Chair. So the late payment fee is as soon as the penalty is not paid after 15 days. So on the 16th day, the late payment fee is applied. So only one late fee. So as per the bylaw, persons who receive a penalty notice have 15 days to pay it. And if they don't, then the late payment fee is applied.
Okay, and so what happens if they don't pay it for a year? It's still only $15?
So the advantage of having the administrative monetary penalties is that we can apply them to the person's taxes. So the late payment fee and the penalty will be applied to the person's taxes. Tax rate.
Okay, I still think that we should maybe look at having adding fees if it's not paid within a certain period of time. You know what I mean? Because if you just do $15 and then they don't pay they don't pay for a full year.
So to answer that question, once it's applied to the taxes on a monthly basis, there is interest incurred.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Don't want to be accused of double dipping.
Oh, no, I mean, because, I don't want people to take advantage and just say, it's $15, so I don't have to pay for a year, or because some people would do that.
Yes.
And it's not about collecting more money, it's just,
Well, I think the consequences are even more serious than that, because if they continue to refuse to pay after 2 years, then we can start proceedings to sell their home in order to collect their tax. So I think that's doesn't get more serious than that. So,
Through you, Madam Chair.
yes,
May I just further to Renee's question then, how long does it take before the AMP penalty of the late fee is then applied to your taxes?
Good question, through you, Madam Chair. Usually, once the 15-day expires, the late payment fee is applied. We can do it on the 17th day. We don't need to wait.
other questions? So, Madam Clerk, starting now, we'll be able to do the administrative fees, to charge the administrative fees instead of the provincial?
We could start anytime. Logistically, we're just working on the draft penalty notice itself. And so at the next meeting, we have a candidate to appoint as hearing officer. And so we're going to need to appoint the hearing officer and set the rate. And so we're trying to do it at the same time as the other 2 municipalities that are participating along with us.
In the meantime, they continue to receive
Yes.
provincial?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Any other questions? Then I need a mover and a seconder to adopt the resolution. Randy and Rick?
It is duly moved and seconded, be resolved that bylaw 2022-39, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2021-22, a bylaw to set fees and related charges, to add fees in relation to the administrative monetary penalty system bylaw, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. All right, let's move on to 6.2 finances. And I believe we have Marc Fleury online. And he's going to appear in just a second. Oh, there he is. All right. So you have your reports in your package. Marc, I'll turn it over to you.
You can hear me well? Everybody can hear me well? Yes, okay, perfect. So as for activities during the quarter, the audit of financial statements for the 2021 December 31st, 2021 year has been completed. And they were presented to council on May 18th with no significant changes to the drafts prepared by staff. And the FIR report to ministry was also prepared and on time for the ministry. So everything was done, and there was no management letter points brought forward by the auditors. Also, there were 16 requests for tender or quotation documents sent during the Q2, which is a high amount. Because we have a big capital or lots of projects for capital this year. So we processed 16 requests, and now we're going to proceed with more requests in Q3 for remaining capital projects. Also, for information, we received additional funding and donations during the Q2. For Joe Chartrand Park, we received a donation for $20,000 from the Caisse Populaire Alliance. And also for Joe Chartrand Park, we received a donation of $5,000 from Maye Esso. And we received a donation of $5,000 from the economic partners for the per diems for the concert series. We received also an additional funding from the Manitoulin Sudbury District Services Board of $15,000 for the food bank, which is good news. And another item that I wanted to report on was it was reported in the first quarter, the planned tax sale of Roll or 99 Seguin Road in Noelville was canceled. The property was sold before the tax sale that was due, or the tenders due on April 27, 2022. So there was no tax sale proceedings. Any questions for the activities? So for the, I also included the 2022 budget variance reports for operating budget and for capital budget for the 6 months ending June 30th, 2022. For the operating budget, in general, revenues and expenses are in line with the 2022 budget amounts. You will see in your pages, there's some variance analysis compared to last year. And also for the capital budget, again, we took every project and we analyzed every project to give you comments to know if they're finished or proceeding or canceled. So do you have any questions on the reports?
Questions? Any?
Not really a question, just an explanation maybe. Transportation services. I see
Yes.
that. So we're almost 9 months in to the year and we're only at half of what was budgeted.
6 months in, sorry.
Oh, this is till June.
Yes,
Okay, that's
yes.
why. Sorry. I'm
Yeah.
thinking we're into almost
Yeah,
at
I
the end
know.
of August.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, makes sense. Forget it.
Okay, not a problem.
Any other comments? And just to let everybody know, we were awarded an additional $15,000 for the food bank, which should be coming in next week. So that was good news today. All right, thank you, Mark.
Thank
DSAP, yep. Public Works and Environmental Services. So there's a quarterly report from Public Works, and I know that Bob is here. Just can't see. Oh, there he is. There he is. To you, Bob.
Good evening, Council. So some of the key highlights from Public Works for this quarter was the release and award of the Capital Roads tender. The dust suppressant was applied to all our side roads and the street sweeping was completed. I don't know if you have any questions, comments.
No questions, comments? Okay. Then we'll move on to the environmental services. And unfortunately, Kevin can't be with us. So if you have any questions for Kevin, you can either send them to him or were there any questions? Everybody was okay? Randy?
Adam,
Yeah, Randy?
yeah, my question, of course, Kevin's not here, but we have a new line item here, curbside recycling of 888 houses. So we're only having 34% buy-in at this point is what my question was from those participants. How is the public picking this up?
Maybe Mark, I see he's got his finger on the mic.
That's correct in your assumption. Out of the 880, we have 34% participation. So we continue to try to inform the households of the ability to recycle every second week. We are providing information on how they can put it on their phones, which they get notices the day before, just as a reminder that recycling is being picked up. So that's what we have to date. That's based on the first 3 months or May, June, 2 months of operations at this point.
Any?
So just from looking, I've noticed that the contamination is not any better than what it was. It's actually a little higher than what our 2021 totals are. So the pickup, household pickup delivery is not helping?
You have to take in consideration that we've only done it for 2 months out of that second quarter. And we're still seeing a lot of contamination at the bin sites, which remain open and are still being used by other members of the community and also members of the community that are on the pickups.
Through you, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Sorry, I also had a further question about the environmental services. I noticed that in the Albin bin sites, we've added new signage. However, the signage is referring the flow of traffic in a backwards pattern to what it previously was. What was the purpose for that? And I can tell you that people aren't traveling in the direction those signs are placed. You know, what was the thinking there that you're trying to bring them towards the building with the cameras? And what thought do we have to try and sign maybe a new direction, because people are going in the original direction and not following the face of those new signs? They look, because you see the back of them when you drive in and that's it.
That'd probably be a better question for Kevin to answer, and I'll
Yes.
certainly follow up with him on that, Randy, and we'll get back to you. But your initial thought process is correct. We're trying to flow people towards the cameras. That being said, there is an environmental committee meeting coming forth in September where there are recommendations to make significant improvements to the Albin site for discussion and recommendation to council.
All right. Shall we move on to the next one? Which is as I turn. Recreation and community. Bob?
Yes, so the key highlights for this quarter was we hosted the provincial elections at the Albin Community Center, as well as the advanced polls. We released a tender for and awarded the brine pump for replacement for the Novel Arena. We hung the baskets for the flowers in town, and we added 10 more baskets this year. We opened up the splash pad, and we did some upgrades at JC Park to include a parking lot.
Any questions for Bob? And I see, Bob, that the musical instruments are all set up and they're being used by the kids already.
Yes, they
I
are.
drove by. Yeah, looks great. Dean?
Through you, Madam Chair, I was going to make the same comment. I noticed some youngsters, using the project there of the musical instruments, and it was really nice to see the community involvement. The kids actually enjoying them, and it's been very satisfying to see that project come to fruition. So thanks to the staff. It's been really great work.
Dean?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a question that I have, Bob, is when are we starting work on the community center in Albin with the grant money we had? When is this going to happen?
So we finally got a hold of an architect to start up the project. And he told us recently that he finally got an engineer on board. They'll be out shortly. He said mid-September to come and look at it and issue tenders November, December for work to be done next spring.
Thank you.
Other questions for Bob? Seeing none. Let's move on to emergency and protection services. I believe, Rock, you're there.
Yeah, I'm here, but I see my camera doesn't want to work.
Oh,
There.
there you go.
Perfect. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Here are the key highlights for the fire department second quarter. Emergencies, we responded to 21. Burning permits issued, we issued 59 permits. Inspection and public education, we did 8 in total. Training sessions, 10. Average firefighter response in a 24 period. So from midnight to 8 a.m., there's an average of 10 firefighters. From 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., an average of 7. And from 4 to midnight, an average of 6. Percentage of calls in a 24-hour period. So from midnight to 8 a.m., there's 5% of our calls. 8 to 4 is 38, and 4 to midnight is 57%. Equipment checks, we've conducted 4. Agreements, we utilized the agreement with Henby Inlet Fire Department for a bushfire we had in May in Alban. Recruitment and retention, we recruited 1 firefighter at Station 1 in Wellville. Updates for fire department. So the fire department participated in a 3-day mobile live fire training unit provided by the Ontario Fire Marshal, the Fire College. So day 1, Friday, we had 16 firefighters participate, a total of 5 hours. Day 2, 21 firefighters, 5 hours again. And day 3, 10 firefighters for 5 hours. Any questions?
Questions? Oh, Randy.
To you, Madam Mayor. Not so much about the report because this is a Q3 question. I noticed last week there was notice of a bushfire just north of Alban. Can you elaborate on the extent of that and what happened?
I have no information. I've tried to reach out to MNRF. They haven't got back to me yet.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to building and planning, and Andrea is online. Oh, there she
Hi,
is.
everybody. Hello. Okay, so as with all of our reports, we are almost at the end of Q3, so some of my numbers are not as exciting as they have become. We had a bit of a slower first and second quarter, which was to be expected from the record 2021 and 2020 years. We had the effects of increased interest rates, and all of a sudden we had a cement shortage, which seems to have worked its way out a bit. But we did feel a bit of a slowdown for building in the first 2 quarters of 2022. I did a quick check just to see where we are now. We definitely gained within Q3, but still not hitting the same record amounts as 2021. We're seeing maybe not full houses being applied for, but lots of people are contacting us about the idea of adding secondary dwellings to their properties, large additions onto existing houses to perhaps make more living space for different generations on properties. With the cost of property right now, that's not surprising. So we're still seeing good investment in the area, and I'd like to open this up to any questions from council at this time.
Questions from council? Yeah, as Dean says, it's pretty straightforward.
It is.
It's still very busy though in your department this summer.
It is. I think my report there says over 7 million, or are we
Yeah.
at, I think I'm just starting to hit 7 million in cost of construction now. So we're still very busy in the area.
Yep, that's great. All righty. No questions again? Just check on the other side there. Nope. All right. Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you.
The next thing on the agenda is 6.6.2, which is a report from the Economic Development Advisory Committee. And I believe that's over to you, Councillor Richard.
Hi there. Thank you. Through you. Well, the meeting was pretty short, but we had a discussion with regards to adding 2 more signs, one at the entry of 64 and the other one at the entry of 535. So those 2 signs are in need of being replaced. So there were two of those signs are going to be replaced in the next little while for a cost of just a little over $12,000. They'll actually look very, very nice. They'll be, I believe, 16 feet wide. They'll be 3 feet from the ground, so they'll be very visible and very, and it'll fit in line with the one that we have on the highway that we put in earlier this year or last year. I forget when that was. So that was the main purpose of the meeting. And then we had a brief discussion about opening up the idea of setting up either a committee or a study group that can determine services that are essential services that might be important to try to lure into the area of French River. So I'll just give an example off the top of my head. So let's say a veterinarian. So I know we don't have one that's here that's set all the time, but try to come up with not ideas, but come up with a list of some of those services that we think would be of value here, and also come up with a process to how to get them to come here either partially or full time or something like that. So this is going to be a process that'll go through to next council. So those at the table there will look into maybe getting that on board. And that's essentially the two things that we talked about at the meeting.
Thank you. I believe we have a recommendation, a resolution to approve. Okay, so we do have a resolution to approve the purchase of the 2 new signs as recommended by the Economic Development Committee. Renee, did you have? Oh, you'll move. Okay, moved by Renee and seconded by Bob.
It is duly moved and seconded, whereas at their meeting held August 16th, the Economic Development Advisory Committee have submitted the recommendation for council's consideration. Now therefore be it resolved that council approves TWG's design and award the contract for the 2 welcome entrance signs, one on Highway 64 and one on Highway 535, for the total amount of $12,580 plus applicable taxes to DL Signs and to JGW.
Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. All right, there is no correspondence. And I need a mover and a seconder for to approve the contents of the consent agenda. So I need to move Dave and Dean.
Duly moved and seconded, be resolved that council approves the items of the consent agenda under section 8.1.
All those in favor? Thank you. There are no notices of motions. Okay, announcement inquiries, and I'm going to start this time because I'd like to give a quick summary of our meetings in Ottawa with AMO and the 3 delegations that we had. We started off with first the staff from infrastructure, and unfortunately, there is no money. Not too sure when another envelope of funding will be made available, but it wasn't a very hopeful meeting for monies to come to repair our roads up here. So that was quite disappointing. Then we met with the staff from the Ministry of Health, and the reason for that basically was to again object to the way the finances are done at the public health. We again expressed our displeasure, but especially this year with Penny Sutcliffe receiving $800,000 and being paid overtime for the last couple of years, because those costs are being downloaded to us. I think there was a little bit of a surprise, correct me if I'm wrong. And they did say they were going to check it out. Also, the question that they kept asking us is, but did the Public Health Board approve it? And the answer is yes, but we explained to them that the Public Health Board is capitalized or monopolized by the 6 delegates from District of Sudbury, the municipality of Sudbury, Greater Sudbury. And so it makes it very hard for people who back then was Randy to put a stop to any what we consider frivolous spending. We also reminded them that we were subjected to a 10%, 5%, 7% increase over the last 3 years in public health funding, and that even with COVID, that they continue to go on and with their construction and renovations of the building, when we don't even know if Sudbury is going to be the spot when it's reorganized and amalgamated. And so they were polite, I would say, said they would get back to us. But again, it goes back to the board. And we did happen to run into Brian Bigger while we were there. So called him over, told him, about what was happening at the board, and he was not aware what his counselors were doing. So that's up to him, but it's going forward, we're going to have to be a lot more strategic. And Randy, you're running Ward 7, so you get in. I expect you to be on the public health board there, so that'll reduce the Sudbury numbers by 1. And so that was disappointing. I don't think anything's going to happen. SEMA will be meeting in a couple weeks, and we'll be discussing it at that time. We also met with the Solicitor General, which was an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Very sympathetic, open-minded. We presented our position about being given an exception so that we can have access to funding through the OPP to fund our new wellness and health program that was initiated by the government. So they are going to get back to us. Like I said, he was absolutely very pleasant, his staff as well. And I'm hopeful for that one. So let's keep our fingers crossed so that we can get some funding through the OPP. So that's my AMO. And the two of you were there, and Randy, you were there too. And did I miss anything? Yeah. Oh, and Mark, did I miss anything? No? No, okay. Anyway, it was a good conference. It was nice to meet back in person. And by the way, the garçons say hello. They're at my place right now. So that's my son, by the way.
Cooked supper for all of us the
Yes,
one
he
night.
did.
So it was very nice of them.
Yes, that was. So also, I attended, before I say that, I wanted to take a moment to thank Councillor Bob for the great work that he did for Camp Quality, the fundraiser that he did on Saturday. He raised $5,190 for a camp that takes children who have cancer and makes them think anything but cancer during that period of time. And it's an absolutely wonderful camp. And thanks to volunteers like you and fundraisers like you, as the Camp Quality saying says, we'll be here until we're not needed anymore. So I think you're going to be doing this for a little while yet. Okay, so thank you. I did attend the Meet-See Rendezvous on Saturday as well. After that, it was the Meet-See, and that was quite interesting. It was nice to see a lot of people there. When I left, there was well over 100 people. Richard said there was probably a couple hundred that attended. So it's nice to see Joe Chartrand Park being used. People are loving it, and very good investments we're making in there. And then on Sunday, I attended the Mashinong. That I can never say that. Anyway, I thought it was their annual meeting of the Friends, and it was nice to see that the president of that group is a former professor that I used to work with, Peter Beckett. So we had a chance to chat, and Peter came after he was done there on Sunday. He was coming to the trails here because the Sudbury Edible Forest Group asked him to go through the forest to see what kind of trees can be planted for the type of soil and the amount of light. So he's planning it out, and the Edible Forest folks will be here sometime in September, October to plant the new, based on his recommendation. They do a lot of good work. The trails there are gorgeous, and it's a beautiful park. And they will be making a formal request to the new council. We have some sort of an agreement with them. We're part of it, and they're going to be asking for a counselor to sit on their board. So I said, put in a formal request, and then can't do it till the new council is put in there. So, so that was kind of fun to do as well. Oh, can you use your mic?
I heard that, that the M&R is going to make that into more of an operating park. Did you hear anything about that?
He mentioned a little bit about that, but I think we're years away from there. That-
Really?
Yeah, yeah. But the MNRF, the park, they call them park
Park supervisor, yeah.
supervisors, they're there, like they maintain part of the trails as well. And they do a lot of work that is covered by the provincial funds. And
They're not
theirs.
charging though for camping or anything like that yet, are
No.
they? No.
No, I think that's going to change because when they did the reporting, they were talking about setting up parking meters and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. So that they can do it, because anything major has to come out of the funds from the friends of that group. So, yeah, Friends of Maskinon. Yes. And just to remind everybody, Saturday's a big day. And thanks to Chateauneuf Lumber and Renee, Councillor Renee, there will be a big fundraiser to raise funds for Joe Chateauneuf Park, so that a well can be put in and eventually bathrooms can be put in, permanent bathrooms. And I'm expecting to see a lot of people there. So it'll be nice to see the park being used again and again and again. So that's great. And that's all I have. So I will go to Bob.
Thank you, Mayor Pajot, and thank you for the nice words. I'm going to do some repetition here. What a great summer, and it was nice to see our facilities used so much. The Joe Chateauneuf Park for Canada Day, the family tournament, the Claude Maillet plaque unveiling, the Friday night music in the park. Every time I drove by, which is numerous times on 64 going to Albin, Willie Lamondin Park, there was always traffic there, always cars there. I'm not a swimmer, so I didn't stop too often. And many other events, and I'm going to mention this Saturday's event also coming up, the Helping Hands fundraiser, and I'll cut it there because we got to leave something for Renee to say. The golf tournament for Camp Quality, I'm very proud, and I'm going to repeat it. $5,190 we were able to raise for Camp Quality, which is all what I can say. I'm very proud of it. And I'd like to ask a favor of Mark to say thank you to all your staff. Public Works. I mean, to me, our roads, I took a lot of rides. Our roads are for gravel roads. I mean, are above average. The landfill site, the people working there, they're very polite. The landfill site used to be called a dump. It's not that dirty there. They do a great job. The arena, our Parks and Rec people. And to back that up, Mark, I haven't had myself, the mayor probably has had, I haven't had one phone call of complaint all summer. That says something. Our frontline workers are doing a great job. The staff in here, same thing. So I'd just like you, Mark, to relay that and thank all our staff. And that's it, Madam Mayor. Thank you for attending and welcoming the people for Camp Quality in Nowelda.
My pleasure. We'll go to Dave. Oh, sorry, I missed you, Dean.
Well, been pretty quick. pretty quiet summer. I was interested though in hearing Bob's report about Camp Quality. That Camp Quality has been around quite a long time, but there isn't. there's not a
33 years.
Not a lot of fundraising has been done here in Noelville or in French River, but that hasn't. That's really quite a nice gesture that raising money here for that. Who actually is operating it now, Bob?
I'm dealing with a Sudbury board,
Okay.
and I'm learning more as I go along. It seems it's a province-wide organization. And the treasurer is down south in the GTA. And
The
as
camp
I
here,
go, and
Is it up on West Arm? Is that where it is?
no, they used to have their summer camp at Camp Nororonto in Manettville. And something I omitted to mention, one of their board members, Tibby Tonello, volunteer on day one 33 years ago, and she's been volunteering for
Wow.
33 years. And to me, that is amazing.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you. Don't really have anything to announce. It's been a quiet summer as far as I'm concerned. And we don't get out to Noelville as often to see some of the events that have been going on, but it's been, I can say the same as Bob. I've not had a single complaint, a phone call from anybody. Ron Garbutt phoned after on Friday, after the results of the election. He said, well, he said, I think the reason that you people have all been acclaimed is because the public is pretty satisfied with what's happening and what's been going on in the municipality and the quality of the roads and so forth. So I will echo your comments about staff have been doing a great job, making us look good anyway. So that's enough for me.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have much to add myself, except that I was at the AMO conference too, but they'll pretty much put that all in words. So I'm not going to repeat anything.
Well, I'll say like everybody else, busy summer. We've attended many events in the area, from the Trout Lake Picnic Association, the ball tournament, the Friday nights at the ball at Joe Chartrand, the golf tournament on the weekend. There's been many great events. It's nice to see people out. We do have this Saturday coming up, Helping Hands fundraiser, which is sponsored by Chartrand Lumber. We've had many great donations from people in the community, which has been great, and a lot of good volunteers. Bob is going to be helping us out on the weekend, and we have Linda Gagnon, we have Debbie, we have Amy, and some of the staff are going to be helping with some of the setup and stuff. So I think it'll be a great event. We're already past $5,000 in fundraising. We're at $5,035. We're hoping to reach 10, so we'll see. And then Hole Drilling has made a contribution in kind that he will help us out with some of the work costs. So that is really nice of him. And then we have a lot of local businesses in the area, Home Hardware, Nadon Lumber, BSO. We have OMA, even the market has made a donation. So a lot of good businesses in the area have helped out. So it's really nice to see. It's nice to see the community come together for events and many events. I know they've helped out with a lot of great causes that have been going on throughout the summer. And for Camp Quality, Mrs. Tonello has given her heart to that for years and years. I know we've been giving it ice at the SO for many summers, as far back as when Jill's grandpa had the store. So she would come and get all the ice and do all the running around for the food in the kitchen. And a few years ago, Mayor Peugeot and I went. And it's beautiful sight to see all those children enjoying and having fun and just kind of forgetting or not forgetting, but putting aside the fact that they are sick or recovering. So it's beautiful to see. And hopefully it keeps going on for years to come because it's well needed for those children and even for all the adults and volunteers that do participate. You know, it's very heartwarming. And then we have the ice is back on and the rapids are moved back in. So hockey will be starting up soon too. And hopefully a lot of great winter sports will be back up and going. So, and like you guys too, no complaints from people in the area, so which is good. And thank you, like Bob said, to all the staff in the office and out there for doing a great job and always helping us out, helping the volunteers in the area. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Rick.
Hi there, thank you. Just a few things. I guess a few weeks ago, there was a memo from the province with regards to lots of dollars being distributed for internet and the Northeast has been given, or Bell has been given a contract of, I forget exactly the amount, but it's like $430 million in order to add high speed internet to our area and other areas in the surroundings. So that's good. And that's supposed to be done by 2025, but I believe that that money will probably be spent before that. So it's a good thing. So I know a lot of councils or communities of the same size as us have been lobbying to get that to get dollars done. So I don't know if it was the combination of our lobbying or government just being open-minded to giving municipalities like us the opportunity to have high-speed internet. But anyway, it's going to happen finally. And I guess the other thing I'm just going to touch upon is the plaque presentation to the Maillet family for Claude Maillet. I know for a fact that the whole family was very proud and really enjoyed the evening that municipality hosted, which began with the presentation of that plaque to the Maillet family, which I believe will be on display in the arena very shortly. And from on the side, I know that the ball tournament was a big success. They're already planning next year's event with some improvements, and they were very happy to be able to use our facilities, which we've done some improvements to the ball field. So they were very, very happy with that, and I believe the community saw the influx of a lot of people for that weekend, and of course the weather cooperated right till after the last ball was pitched. It started raining, but way before that, it was great. So that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thanks, Rick. And Randy.
Yeah, thank you. To you, Madam Chair. I just want to say, first off, congratulations to all my colleagues on council for getting acclimated. All but the one seat which I vacated is now up for challenge, and you know. And to Ron too, as well as if he's online here, participated to make the last 4 years really incredible for, I think, this municipality. We've come a long way in 4 years. So again, congratulations to everybody. It's going to be hard for me to walk away from this council, and hopefully someday I can come back. But I'm moving on to the aspiration of running in Sudbury now. So. I just want to touch base on my experience at AMO. Really incredible event, and I haven't had a chance to download with the mayor yet and staff, but I did manage to set up a meeting upcoming with Minister Rickford on the NOHFC regarding a project in town which has huge economic implications. I also had a meeting with the executive of the Alpha Board regarding health matters, and it's going to be really interesting. They've given us a direction on how we can proceed further on the health file with public health, and also just great to reach out to some of my provincial colleagues, people that I've met there was a lot of great things that came out of that conference for me personally. So I'm really excited about the future going forward. I think we're going to have some interesting things coming up. So, just thank you to staff and to council.
Great, thank you, Randy. I just wanted to mention one event that also took place last week or the week before, and that was the bringing of the Memorial Cup home with Phil Do and his family. I thought that was an absolutely amazing activity. The arena, the upstairs of the arena was packed solid. So it was I found him such a wonderful young man, and very proud of his roots. And so I know that lots of kids, young and seasoned kids, took time to get his autograph and picture taken. And we got some great coverage from MCTV and some of the other, the Superstar and some of the other media with regards to this. And I think that means a lot to the family and to us as a community. So. All right, we'll move on. 12, there's no closed session tonight. So I need a resolution to adopt the confirmation bylaw. Moved by Renee and Dean. All those in favor? Thank you. And I need a resolution to adjourn. Dave and Bob. All those in favor? Thank you. Have a safe evening, good weekend, and see you Saturday.